This is a good one. D Gill 88 says, "What's been your biggest loss, and how did y'all come back from it?"
Ooh,
I've never had any losses. Only lessons. I know that sounds cliche for people to say, but there's nothing. That's what you'll realize the older you get and the longer you live. There never really was a loss. Anything that you think you lost, if you learned from it, you actually gained. You know what I mean? I've never lost anything I was supposed to have. Ever. I don't feel like I've ever lost anything I was supposed to have. I've always taken the lesson, out of it. Like, I honestly cannot look at my life and say I've had a big loss. I haven't. I really haven't.
I'm trying to think. That's a great question. What's the greatest loss? Because I think you have so many times where you take an L. There's so many times where you look foolish. There's so many times where you look stupid.
Word.
If you do learn from something from it that propels you to a place that you weren't before, then that's really a W. It just took you longer to get the W. Yeah. It's an interesting. I don't know. There's not something that I look back on and I constantly lament. I think that there are things that I wish I did differently, but I learned a lot from those things. So it's hard. I think that's the thing about having like perspective. It's like if you're able to like switch your perspective, it's easy to focus on these negative things that happen in your life. But like if you're able to switch your perspective and go, oh, wow, I learned that from that moment, I have to be more prepared for this in the future, or I have to understand myself better, or yada, yada, yada. So it's not to say that I haven't taken fucking tons of L's in my life, like hundreds, thousands, but there's not a specific situation where I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm wishing I did different because I feel like it's got me to a better place.
I think it's interesting when we throw that word L around, because L is like the beginning of all of these things that we would use to talk about these mistakes. Life, right? Loss, lessons. You know what I'm saying? Like those are L's. Like life is literally begins with an L for a reason. It's just one big L. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just one big learning lesson. Like anything that I would consider a loss, I promise you I learned from it.
Here's
it came back better.
A surface level loss. Completely surface level nonsense bullshit. Went out to a nice restaurant the other night with my wife. It was our first night out drinking for a while, and we had this fucking great time. And like we saw that they were showing like the fancy steaks to some tables where they would like.
Oh, yo, that Moneybag Yo restaurant?
No, not that one. But basically they come out, they show the steak uncooked, and you show all the marbling in the steak, and there's like a few different options. It looks beautiful. And so we asked the waiter, like, "Oh, what's up with those steaks?" And they came by, and there was these different steaks, and there was a $600 porterhouse.
Nah, fuck that.
And I was like, I don't know if we really need to do it. And my wife was like, yeah, that's way too expensive. Let's not do it. And then the guy was like, this is the Queen Elizabeth of steaks. It's the best steak there is.
Why would you want to eat Queen Elizabeth?
That's ripe. I don't know. There's aged. There's aged appropriately. Yeah. And basically we go, you know what? Fuck it. This is our first night out in a while. Let's just go do it. And we order the steak, and I'm not shitting you. It's one of the better restaurants in the city. It was trash. It was so bad. Right? This is again a surface level L. And here I was in this moment where I was just like, oh, let's try the nicest thing, thinking it's going to be so much better than everything else. And it just wasn't. Right? But we shifted perspective, and it was like, yeah, we took this massive loss on this fucking steak, but we had the best night. We had a great night. We were laughing at ourselves being so stupid for doing that. And literally the next night, the guy who runs the restaurant hit us back like, yo, I heard the steak was trash. I just refunded you for the steak. Wow. So it was a cool thing where it was like, instead of just focusing on how like I was just going for the nicest thing and worried about missing out and whatever, I was focused on this great time I had with my wife. And we got a shitty fucking steak, but we had a great time. And then the next day, the guy hits me back. So like, I can't look at that and I get the money back for the steak. I can't look at that as an L. I was stupid for like going for the fancy thing that isn't worth the price. But I don't know. Who knows how the world works?
The manager of the restaurant was thinking about that L he would take if you went on Flagrant or goddamn Brilliant Idiots and told everybody how trash that steak was.
But the fact that he gave us the money back, that's why y'all would never know the restaurant. That's right.
That's right. How did he know that the steak was bad?
You know Andrew told the waiter. you know?
You really
Because they ask you, at those fancy restaurants, they ask you, how'd you enjoy the food?
Yeah.
Come on.
So you gotta always say, oh, it was good, even when it's not.
When you pay more money than you're comfortable for something, you expect way more. And when it doesn't live up to that expectation, at least me, I'm very vocal about that shit.
Okay.
Like if I'm at a diner and like the eggs aren't cooked like I asked, I love diners. I know that they don't give a fuck about the eggs. I don't give a fuck about the eggs. I'm paying $5 for eggs. It is what it is. It's this beautiful thing and we love it. When you go to the fancy shit that's charging $600 for a piece of a cow.
Come on, man.
And this shit isn't $600,
Come on, man.
you gotta let them know.
By the way, $600 is a down payment on a cow. Cows on average
true.
They cost between like $2,000 and $5,000 for a good cow. So that's like a down. You can pay a $600
I bought a cow, bro.